welcome back to my channel. Today we will continue with a new set of lessons. Remember, every week we have a new set of lessons. This is an amazing course, so don't miss it. Let's start.
Welcome to the next lesson. Emotional Mastery 2. So in Emotional Mastery 1, we learned about changing our physiology, changing our bodies to change our emotions. But remember in that lesson I said there are two ways to change your emotions. Number one is physiology. We talked about that. There's something else you can change so that you can be in a peak emotional state as you learn English. And that is your focus, your mental focus. What you think about consistently. That will change your emotion also. So what do I mean by mental focus? How do you change your mental focus? What should you focus on? What should you not focus on? First, let's talk about the negative. What should you not focus on? Try to remember when you were in school, in your English classes. What did you focus on when you were in school? What did you think about, worry about consistently, frequently? Well, probably tests, right? That was one I always thought about. You probably were focused on tests a lot. I got to pass this test. I got to pass this test. Tests and then grades. Will I get an A? Will I get a B? Will I get a C? Will I fail this course? So you were thinking about judgment, other people judging you, the teacher judging you, getting a grade, getting a score. How did you feel about that? When you think about tests a lot, and you think a lot about a score, a grade, A, B, C, or maybe now you're thinking about the TOEFL exam and you're worried, what number will I get on the TOEFL exam? How does that affect your emotions? Do you feel more relaxed or more stressful? Well, most people feel more stressful, of course. The more you think about judgment, the more you think about a test score, the more nervous you become, the more worried you become. And that's not good. You actually learn more slowly when you're worried. You learn more slowly when you're nervous, when you have anxiety. Again, I'll talk about Dr. Stephen Krashen, our favorite researcher. Anxiety is a major part of his research. It is the single number one most negative factor in language acquisition, in language learning. Anxiety means worry or stress. And there are many studies about this. They study different language learners, study different English learners, and they put them in a situation where they're more stressed or more worried, and then they have others that are in a more relaxed situation. And the relaxed students always learn better and faster. So let's say after 6 months, the relaxed students will have better grammar, better pronunciation, better listening and understanding, better writing skill, better everything. The anxious students, the worried, nervous students, the stressed students, of course, have worse pronunciation, worse speaking ability, less vocabulary, worse writing, less listening comprehension, listening understanding. So what was happening in school was you were actually learning to fail. You were training yourself to be stressed and nervous. You were training yourself to focus on things, tests, grades, teacher's opinion of you, that make you feel nervous, and that nervousness made you learn more slowly. So you don't want to focus on that. Something else you don't want to focus on. You don't want to focus on every small step to reach your goal. Your goal is to speak excellent English, to feel strong and confident when you speak. That's a great goal. But what happens if you focus on everything you must do to reach the goal? For example, you think, oh God, to become a great speaker, that means I got to study every day. I've got to learn 20,000 vocabulary words. I've got to listen to 2,000 or 3,000 hours of English. How does that make you feel? Probably a little nervous, probably stressed, right? You think, oh my God, it's too much. So you don't want to focus on the little individual steps because it's going to seem huge. It's going to seem so big. It's going to kill your motivation. What else do you not want to focus on? Problems. So many students focus on problems. In my classes in San Francisco, they come to me, AJ, my pronunciation is bad. AJ, I make grammar mistakes. Well, of course you do. You're a student. You're learning. It's normal. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have problems sometimes. You're going to make a mistake with your pronunciation. I do. I'm a native speaker. I'm an English teacher. I make mistakes all the time. It's normal. You can't focus on it. If you focus on it, if you focus on the negative, if you focus on mistakes, if you focus on problems, your emotions become weaker and weaker. You actually get worse. So you just need to relax about this. Everybody is human. Everybody makes mistakes. It's a normal thing. Finally, you do not want to focus on the past. Most of my students have very negative experiences with English from the past. Most did not enjoy their English classes in school. When I ask about their past with English, it was terrible. Students tell me, I'm not good at English. I was always bad in my English classes. I've studied for 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. Still, I cannot speak well. They're focused on the past. Well, the past is not the same as the present. The past doesn't equal the future, as Tony Robbins likes to say. And it's true. In the past, you used very old, traditional methods that made you feel bad. Sitting in a class, still, not moving. Being graded and tested constantly. Studying boring grammar textbooks. That's not a method for success for most people. Some people succeed with that, but very few. So the past was different. You're now learning in a very different way. You are different now. Don't focus on the past. All right, so enough of what not to do. What should you focus on if you want to be happy, if you want to be excited, if you want to learn very quickly, faster than before? What should you focus on? What should you think about consistently all the time? Well, number one, instead of focusing on the little steps and all the little problems, instead, focus on the end result, the final result. That's what you need to focus on. Focus on your ultimate success. So, in other words, use your imagination and imagine yourself speaking English fluently, quickly. Imagine yourself smiling as you speak English with a native speaker. Imagine yourself feeling strong and confident as you speak English easily, effortlessly. Every day, focus on this thought, the end result, what you will ultimately reach, ultimately achieve, what you will finally do. Focus on the end result every day, the final result. Do not focus on the little steps you must take every day. Focus on the final result every day. Second, focus on the purpose, the reason you are learning English. I mean, why? If your purpose is to take the TOEFL exam, you're going to be stressed and depressed. Nobody is excited about a test. Nobody I know. That's not a good emotional thing to focus on. It's not a good reason to learn English. Taking a test is a terrible reason because it makes you feel stressed, nervous, tired, and bored. You need bigger, better reasons. Yes, maybe you need to take the TOEFL exam, but why? Why do you want to pass the TOEFL exam? Maybe you want a great job that requires English, where you can use English, an international trade, perhaps. Maybe you want to study in the United States, go to a university in the United States, have a great adventure in another country. Now that makes you feel good, right? Thinking about that, imagine yourself in New York City or in San Francisco, meeting native speakers, talking effortlessly, easily, making new friends, a great new job with more money. Now, those are great things to focus on. So you want to focus on compelling, strong reasons why you're learning English, why it's important, the benefits, things that make you feel great. Do not focus on a test, please. So those are the two things. Number one, you focus on the end result, and they're related. They're basically the same thing. Number two, you focus on the reasons why, the purpose. So you have to imagine very vividly, very strongly in your head what it is you will finally do. See the end result. And then feel the emotions. The last step is you want to see the end result with emotion. Let yourself feel that it's real. So when you focus on speaking great English, well, feel the emotions. Feel proud. Feel happy. Feel confident. Smile big. Imagine how you will feel speaking excellent English. Okay, so let's review very quickly about focus. The main thing about focus is very, very simple. You're going to focus on the end result, the final result. You want to focus on the thing that makes you feel great, the situation, the benefits, all the great things that will improve in your life by speaking excellent English. That's what you need to focus on every day. Write it down. Write down, make a list of all the great things that will happen in your life when you speak excellent English. New friends, maybe great new travel experiences, maybe living or working abroad, maybe a better job. I don't know. You have to make your own list, but make it a big list. Write down all the great things that will happen in your life. And then every day, focus on those. Review those every day. Teach your brain to focus on these positive, inspiring things. Not on these negative things, not on problems, not on the past. Okay, so that is it for this main speech on Emotional Mastery 2, Focus. Next, let's listen to the vocabulary, and then we'll have the mini story. See you soon. Hello. Welcome to the vocabulary lesson for Emotional Mastery 2. Let's get started. Now, are you smiling? Is your posture strong? Are your shoulders back? Is your head up? Are you moving? You should be. Get in a strong, peak emotional state right now before we begin. Okay, let's start. Acquisition. The word acquisition. I talk about language acquisition. Acquisition means to get something and keep it. So to get and keep. So language acquisition means you get language. In other words, you learn it. You get it and you keep it. So the idea is that you don't lose it. And sometimes some teachers talk about language learning and language acquisition. And the idea is that learning is more temporary. For example, in school for a test, you learn English, you take the test, then you forget it. That's language learning. Language acquisition means you get the English, you keep it, you never forget it. So acquisition, to get and keep something. Another word we use in this lesson is anxiety. Anxiety. Anxiety is nervousness or a feeling of stress. So anxiety, a feeling of nervousness or a feeling of stress. Anxiety. It's the feeling. It's a noun. Now the adjective is anxious. So you might say, I am anxious, or I feel anxious. It means I feel worried, I feel nervous, I feel stressed, I feel anxious, anxious. So anxiety is the noun, anxious, the adjective. Our next word, vividly. I say, imagine your future vividly. Imagine your goal vividly. Vividly means clearly, colorfully. So it has this idea of very powerfully, right? You can imagine your future. Let's say, imagine yourself speaking English very well. And maybe the picture's kind of small and dark. Not clear. But if I say, imagine your future vividly, you see yourself speaking English, but it's a big, clear, colorful picture. So vividly has this idea of colorfully. The adjective is vivid, vivid. We sometimes talk about a vivid picture, a vivid photograph, very colorful, clear, strong photograph, a vivid photograph. All right, another word we have in this lesson is visualize. You probably know visual. Visual means related to seeing, related to the eyes. So I am a visual person means I like to look at things. My emotions are strongest when I look. So visual, related to seeing or about seeing, about your eyes. To visualize is a verb. It's an action. And it really means to imagine. It means to see in your head. So visualize your future means see your future in your head. I can say, visualize a hamburger right now. It means see a hamburger in your head. Visualize, visualize. Another word we have in this lesson is comprehension. I talk about listening comprehension. Comprehension means understanding. Very simple. So listening comprehension means listening understanding. Means you understand what's happening. The verb is to comprehend. I comprehended the story. I understood the story. So what's the difference? Understand and comprehend. Well, comprehend is really more formal. It sounds a little more intellectual or something. Understand is more common. Okay, our next word is ultimately. Ultimately. Or ultimate. Ultimately means finally. In the end, finally. Ultimately, you must study every day. It means finally, the final point. You must study every day. Ultimately. And ultimate means final, the last. Sometimes ultimate has the idea of most or best. It can have that idea in some situations also. But the direct meaning is final or last. And our final, ultimate word in this lesson is compelling. Compelling. Compelling means inspiring. Something that motivates you. If you say that was a compelling story, it was a emotionally powerful story. It was an inspiring story. It created strong emotion. It made you want to do something. So in the lesson I say you need compelling reasons to learn English. You need inspiring reasons to learn English. You need strong, positive, emotional reasons to learn English. Reasons that make you want to take action, to do something. Compelling has this idea of wanting to take action, wanting to do something. And that is all for our vocabulary lesson for Emotional Mastery 2. Again, listen to it a few times. Remember, you need to be in a peak emotional state. If you get tired, anytime, any lesson, pause, change your posture, breathe deeply, smile, and move. Feel better, and then come back and start again. Okay, I'll see you for the mini story. Bye-bye. Welcome to the mini story for Emotional Mastery 2. Now, before we start this story, I want you to do something. You know what I want you to do. Stand up. Pull your shoulders back. Chest up. Chin up. Eyes up. Stand strong. Now breathe deeply. Good. Now big grin, a big, stupid, crazy smile on your face. Come on, you can do it. And finally, move your body. Walk. You can walk in one place without moving if you want. Just lift up your feet. If you're outside, then move. Move your body. Okay, you need to be awake. You need to be alive while you're learning. You ready? Let's start the mini story. Elvis the spider can't swim, but he wants to. What does Elvis want to do? Swim. Elvis wants to swim. What is Elvis? Well, of course, Elvis is a spider. How many legs does Elvis have? 8. Just checking. Okay, Elvis has 8 legs. Because he's a spider, of course. Elvis has 8 legs because he's a spider. Elvis the spider has a problem. What is his problem? Well, his problem is he can't swim. Poor Elvis, he can't swim. He wants to swim. In fact, he wants to swim a very long way. Does he want to swim a short way or a long way? A long way. He wants to swim a very long way. How far does Elvis, the spider, want to swim? Well, obviously, he wants to swim across the Atlantic Ocean. Ah. So where does Elvis live? Well, Elvis lives in London. He's a British spider. Which city does he live in? New York? No, London. Elvis the spider lives in London, and he has a problem. He can't swim. Where does he want to swim to? He wants to swim to New York City. Who wants to swim to New York City? Elvis the spider. From where? Well, from London. He wants to swim to New York City from London. Can he swim now? No. Elvis can't swim now. He can't swim now, but he wants to swim from London to New York City. So he decides, I'm going to practice. What does he decide to do? To practice. He decides to practice. Where does he practice? In the North Sea. He practices in the North Sea. What does he practice in the North Sea? Swimming. He practices swimming in the North Sea. So Elvis the dog practices swimming in the North Sea. No, not the dog. Elvis the spider, of course. Elvis the spider practices swimming in the North Sea. He tries to swim, but he has another problem. It's very cold in the North Sea. Is it hot? Is it warm? No, it's cold. It's very cold in the North Sea. Is the North Sea hot or cold? Oh, it's cold. It's very cold in the North Sea. Elvis freezes. Does he freeze? Is he very, very cold? Yes, he freezes. Where does he freeze? In the North Sea, of course. He freezes in the North Sea, and he almost drowns. Does Elvis almost die? Yeah, exactly. He almost drowns. He almost goes under the water forever. Why does he almost drown? Well, because he's freezing. It's so cold, he can't swim. Does Elvis swim successfully or not? Not. He does not swim successfully. He almost drowns. He almost dies. So next he decides, I know. I will go to the gym. I will go to the YMCA and swim in the pool. Why does he go to the YMCA pool? Why? What's his purpose? Well, his purpose is to practice for swimming from London to New York. What does he want to practice for? He wants to practice for swimming from London to New York. What is his purpose? What is his reason for practicing? Well, swimming from London to New York, that's his ultimate purpose. So what is his ultimate purpose? What is his final goal? His final purpose is to swim from London to New York. Is his ultimate purpose to swim from London to Rome? No, that's not his ultimate purpose. His ultimate purpose is to swim from London to New York. What does he want to swim across? Well, across the Atlantic Ocean to New York. Does he want to swim across New York? No, not across New York, to New York. Does he want to swim to the Atlantic Ocean? No, he wants to swim across the Atlantic Ocean. Is that his ultimate purpose? Yes, it is. It's his final reason for practicing. His ultimate purpose is to swim from London to New York. Whose ultimate purpose is it? Elvis the Spider. It's Elvis's ultimate purpose. So every day he goes to the pool, and every day he visualizes arriving in New York. Every day does he imagine himself arriving in New York? Yes, every day he visualizes, he imagines himself arriving in New York. Every day does he see himself in his mind arriving in New York successfully. Yes, absolutely. He visualizes. Every day he visualizes, he imagines, he sees. Every day he visualizes himself arriving in New York. All his 8 legs swimming across the Atlantic, arriving in New York. What does he visualize? He visualizes arriving in New York City. How often does he visualize this? Well, every day. Every day he visualizes arriving in New York. He sees it clearly, vividly in his head. Does he visualize vividly? Yes, he does. He visualizes vividly. He visualizes powerfully, clearly, and colorfully. Vividly. How does he visualize? Vividly. He vividly sees himself arriving in New York City. Does he vividly imagine success? Oh yes, very clearly, very powerfully, very colorfully. He sees success. He imagines success. He vividly visualizes arriving in New York. And he practices every day. Where does he practice swimming every day? At the YMCA. Every day he practices swimming at the YMCA pool. He swims with all his 8 legs in the pool. Swimming every day. Swimming and visualizing. Swimming and visualizing. Swimming and visualizing. He sees in his head arriving in New York. And he swims in the pool. Swims in the pool. Finally, the day comes. He jumps into the Atlantic. And he starts swimming. Swimming towards New York City. After 15 days, he's still swimming. Sharks try to attack him. He hits them with his legs, and he escapes. Storms come, bad weather, rain. He continues to swim. Ultimately, and finally, he arrives in New York City. He is successful. The mayor of New York City gives him the key to the city. They have a big parade for Elvis to celebrate his success. What does Elvis ultimately do? He ultimately is successful. He ultimately arrives in New York City. He ultimately swims from London to New York City. He finally swims from London to New York City. Who is ultimately successful? Elvis. Elvis the Spider is ultimately successful. He has problems. He has difficulties. But finally, he is successful. That is the end of the mini-story for Emotional Mastery 2. Again, listen every day, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, doesn't matter, as much as you can. When you listen, always have a strong posture. Breathe deeply, smile, and move as you listen. If you get tired, it's okay, it's normal. If you get bored, it's also normal. Just pause, change your posture, change your breathing, change your smile, move, and then start again. Okay, I will see you next time. Enjoy. Bye-bye.